What's up, guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we'll be talking about one of the most popular superpowers in pretty much all of fiction, that being super strength. In the next few minutes, I'll describe what super strength is, its limitations, as well as provide a letter or grade at the end of this video. Now, there's a lot that goes into this, so I don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's just kick off our shoes and dive right in. So in discussing super strength, there's a lot that goes into this ability. There's of course, different tiers of super strength or different tiers of this power, so to speak. You have peak human, enhanced, supernatural, which has its own tier list, and you have absolute. But at its most basic definition, this allows the user to perform strength feats beyond human limitations. This includes lifting vehicles like cars, buses, even tanks. This allows you to break through walls or smash barriers or any kind of physical obstacle in your way, overcome any opponent that might stand in your way or might even challenge you. You just basically bully them because you're stronger. Additionally, on top of that, with super strength, at least in some iterations, there does seem to be an increased amount of durability, but we'll get more into that later on in this video. Now, as discussed before, there are a bunch of different avenues when it comes to super strength. The first that I want to get into is for characters like Captain America, Bucky Barnes, US Agent, Black Panther, Deathstroke, even Batman. These characters fall within the category of peak human to enhanced human, meaning the real difference is peak human, they can lift like maybe a couple hundred pounds. I think it's between 800 and 900 pounds, which is still very impressive and way stronger than I can even do. I'm gonna admit that, but they're not really superhuman. They're just at the peak of what human potential is. Whereas enhanced, they can lift a couple tons, not like crazy amounts, but maybe like, I'd say 2 to maybe 5 ton range, give or take. Now, I'm not saying that characters like Batman and Captain America and Black Panther are all on the same level. Obviously not. Batman will be considered more peak human potential, whereas characters like Captain America and, Bucky Barnes, they have enhancements. I mean, if you watch any of the MCU movies, you already know that these guys are enhanced. They can do insane feats of strength. But above them, the next two tiers are supernatural and absolute. This is for characters such as Spider-Man, the Hulk, Superman, Wonder Woman, characters like Zoro, Luffy, even somebody like Naruto. They all fall within the category of, well, with the exception of the Hulk, Superman, and maybe even Wonder Woman, they all fall in that category of supernatural. This is like I would say your 10 ton to about maybe 50 ton range. But the absolute levels really say for characters in that high echelon, 100 plus ton category. You're thinking of characters like the Hulk, Superman, Thing, the Juggernaut. I think Blue Marvel and the Sentry are above that as well. There's a bunch of different like heavy hitters who are in this category, and they deserve every bit of the accolades because this is the category where you're essentially either a figure of myth or a god. Seeing as strength has been around since the Epic of Gilgamesh, this power has been in the zeitgeist for so long. And there's been so many different characters and so many different iterations of how this ability works. It would just take forever to go into like every minute detail and who's at what class, but you get it. In addition to lifting up heavy objects, smashing through barriers, and bending steel with your bare hands, this power also offers you things like super leaping ability. You can think of characters like the Hulk and Spider-Man who have the ability or the extreme strength in their legs to allow them to leap great distances or incredible heights. Also, something you have to be made aware of with that increase in strength, a lot of characters, including the Hulk and Spider-Man, even lower tier characters, like not extremely low, but characters who have heightened strength or increased strength also enjoy increased speed. Now, don't get me wrong, you're not moving as fast as someone like Quicksilver or the Flash, but you're moving pretty quick. I mean, you might be one of the fastest creatures on Earth. You're gonna outpace pretty much every Olympian. But in gaining this power, you have to be made aware of the challenges and limitations that you will be facing. And to be fair, there are quite a lot. Balance, mass, and gravity still play a huge factor in your life with this superpower. You're not just gonna be doing crazy Superman feats with this ability off rip. It's not how it works. Something else you have to be made aware of is that mundane things that you take for granted, like shutting doors, typing on your phone, if you typing on a keyboard, playing an instrument, being intimate with a partner, that's probably not going to be your life for at least a while with this ability. Mostly because with a heightened level of strength, everything you touch would pretty much feel like well, cardboard, things that you would just enjoy doing. Like for instance, if you enjoy playing these sports, you couldn't do that because you run the risk of killing people or destroying so much of the field or ring or whatever you're partaking in. Instruments are completely out of the question as well. Could you imagine trying to play the guitar with increased strength or playing the piano or drums? You would destroy so much equipment. It's kind of like a real steep learning curve when it comes to super strength, but that's something that you just have to get used to with this ability. Something else you have to be made aware of, since this is a physical power, you are susceptible to father time or the ravages of aging, meaning that you're only at your prime for a very limited amount of time, and slowly but surely your strength will decrease over that period of time. So from, I would say, 34 to about 37-ish, you're pretty, like, you're at your peak level of strength, but after that, you slowly but surely start to wither away, unless you have some type of like regeneration or old prime power additionally on top of that. You may have super strength, but you might not have the durability or the bone or joint stability to really utilize it. For instance, you might be able to lift a car off your head, but can your bones and joints withstand it without crumbling and causing you to be a, pile of human pudding on the floor? But despite all its flaws, super strength is still pretty cool. I mean, there's a reason it's still one of the most popular powers to this day. I mean, everybody's had fantasies of jumping really high or lifting a car over their head. It just goes with the territory. And speaking of which, we're just gonna go ahead and jump into the scoring for this ability, starting off with versatility. Other than like rescue efforts, athletics, and just flexing for people, this power doesn't lend itself to very much. I don't feel like you can be very versatile with it. So for me, it's gonna get a 6.5 out of 10. Really cool for certain situations, but kind of one note overall. Next up is creativity, and pretty much the same thing I said about versatility. It's a pretty one-note ability. I do think there are cool things you can do, like make makeshift weapons out of things, using your ability to leap great distances or travel at a faster speed. Those are all great. But I mean, you're not doing some crazier stuff like everybody's gonna do the thunderclap, of course, and everybody's gonna do like maybe they're gonna make earthquake with a stomp or jump really high. But other than that, I mean, I don't really feel like it has much else. So for me, it's gonna get a 5 out of 10 for creativity. Next up is destructive capacity. And here it's a little bit more complicated because depending on the level of strength that you have, you could be a minor nuisance to a complete demon or a detriment to the planet. I think I'm gonna err on the side of caution, and I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10 just because I know what this power is capable of at the higher echelons, especially with characters like the Hulk or Superman, or hell, even Spider-Man can be pretty destructive if he wanted to be. So yes, for destructive capacity, it's gonna get a 9 out of 10. Next up, we got combat potential, and there's no surprise here. This is pretty much a combat focused ability, like strictly. It's gonna get a 10 out of 10. I think it's only been used in combat situations. I mean, you got characters like Superman and even Spider-Man who use it for rescue efforts, but the majority of their comics are just fights. Like, let's be honest. So yeah, it's gonna get a 10 out of 10 for me. Last category we're gonna talk about is daily use, and this is based on my opinion. I don't think it's gonna get very high because of how steep the learning curve is and how easy it would be to destroy my apartment, my car, any potential partners I have or will have. Like, I think it still is a pretty cool ability. So I'm gonna give it a 6 out of 10 for daily use, just because I do feel like it's a pretty dope power and I do wanna flex on people, and maybe lifting a car over my head would be pretty impressive, but that's just me. That brings us a score of 36.5 out of 50, which is a C tier ability, which personally, I do feel like that's fair. I don't think that super strength is really one of those A or S class abilities. Maybe a B if I stretch it out on some categories, but C seems like it's right at that range. But if you feel differently, let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to check out another video I did on screen right now, I'm gonna have at least 2 videos for your viewing pleasure. Until next time, peace.